What's going on, people? Welcome back to the United Stand. It is Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff. Manchester United are playing Brentford at Old Trafford. It's a lovely day in Manchester. And look, we've got, like I said, a countdown to kickoff. But I'm not by myself today. I am with the great Godfather, Ricky. How you doing?
Doing great, Mordzs. Glad to be here.
So listen, we've got an amazing game. Look, United, finally international break's over, first of all, because I feel like that was probably one of the most boring international breaks I've ever watched. I feel like it was, like back in 2016, where like no one really cared about international football before Gareth Southgate came. But finally, Premier League football's back and we can watch United, even though they've been, they've kind of been hurting our feelings for the whole season. But I'm happy that Premier League football's back. But listen, for today's game, first of all, put in the chats your score predictions. I want to know everyone's initial straight away score predictions for this game. We're going to do our score predictions later on in the show, but I want to know straight away, what does everyone think United's versus Brentford, the score prediction is going to be? But the first thing I want to talk about is, how are you feeling about this game? Now, like I said, we're having a little bit of a break to kind of reset our minds about United. Ten Hag's, his future is still on the line. It's definitely not confirmed as to whether he's going to stay for the season or not. But what is your predictions? What do you feel like this game is going to go like?
What do I feel as well?
How do you feel it's going to go?
I'm very nervous about it, Mordzs. We've got to start winning games, haven't we?
Yeah.
In a big way and quickly. And I've been very pleased with the defensive improvement recently, but we're just not scoring enough goals.
Yeah.
And as much as, look, I'm a stickler for, you've heard me bang on and on about team shape. I'm a stickler for the wingers working hard. And, we've been that poor really the last season or two. It is the way to start. You've got to start by keeping some clean sheets. In the league, we've kept 3 clean sheets in the last 4 games, and that's great.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you keep a clean sheet, you've only got to score 1. That's what I always argue.
Yeah.
But scoring 1 for us isn't that
difficult.
easy at the minute. You know what I mean? It isn't easy.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the top scorers for different Premier League teams. Obviously, Brentford's their top goal scorer is Mbeumo. He scored 6 goals. In fact, Mbeumo's got the second highest conversion rate in the Premier League. I think only Duran is above him, and Duran's obviously, he scores like every other shot. His conversion rate's crazy. But Mbeumo scored 6 goals. Our top goal scorer has 1 goal, and there's 5 of them. We have 5 players, including De Ligt. De Ligt is technically our top goal scorer this season in the Premier League, so that kind of says a lot. We don't have a player with more than 1 goal in the team, which kind of proves your point. We're not scoring enough goals. So I think, so what you're trying to say is, today our main thing is, yes, obviously keep a clean sheet. We've been doing that, but let's try and get someone on the score sheet.
Look, it's absolutely vital. I was about to say that we get a goal. It's still the same though, because we've been that poor that often. If you was to say to me now, will you take 1 goal or will you take a clean sheet? I'd take the clean sheet. Think about it, Mordzs. A clean sheet guarantees you a point. 1 goal doesn't.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
No, it's maths. It's just maths. Yeah. No, you're right.
A clean sheet guarantees you a point, so I'd take a clean sheet all day long
100%,
over the goal.
100%. And to be fair, Brentford right now are in 12th, it says on here, and United are in 14th. They're currently on 10 points. United are on 8 points. Their goal difference is 0. Yeah. So kind of like, I mean, we are
similar.
Very, very similar. We're on -3, to be fair. We're on -3, but they are scored. I mean, technically, Mbeumo scored more goals than our team.
Yeah.
So it kind of says a lot. Super chat here from Carl Robinson. 4-4-2, we thin. I think he's trying to go back to old Fergie days, mid-90s. Just
he wants to come back in the chats there. Who would you have as your 2 forwards? I'm going to guess he means Højlund and Xerxes, does it?
Yeah, true. Put in your chat, Carl Robinson. Who would those 2 forwards be? Xerxes and Højlund. Do you think that could be?
Or it could be Xerxes and Bruno, or Højlund and Bruno.
It could be anyone, to be fair. He might put Rashford up there for no reason.
Yeah, do that. Yeah. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know. Do you think that could work? Those as a two strikers.
Yeah, there's no reason whatsoever why 4-4-2 can't work. Everybody always calls me a dinosaur when I talk about 4-4-2. But so many teams play in a fashion that is so similar to 4-4-2. There's barely any difference. If you look at the way we play, we pick 1 striker, we pick 2 wingers, and I don't know if you've seen me clips recently when I'm talking about Saka and Martinelli. They work so hard and get behind the ball so much that really they're like midfield players. Yeah. So our wingers should be working so hard and helping the fullbacks that much that they midfield players.
Kind of like our Giggs and Beckham were like two wide players.
They're not just attacking players, they're midfield players. So if your two wingers are playing as midfield players, and then we've got two central midfield players, whoever they might be, and then we've got Bruno at number 10 and Højlund or Xerxes at number 9. It's 4-4-2 to me.
To be fair, Bruno does play as pretty much like a striker anyway. Like half of the time he's next to Højlund or Xerxes.
He's regularly in front of him and chasing the goalkeeper down, isn't he?
Yeah.
Not as much this season as he used to do last season, but he does play very much. He's more of a forward than a midfield player in my book.
Yeah, true. I mean, I feel like that position that he does play, the 10. In modern football, the 10's a bit of a weird position because you have some 10s who are more like midfield, they stay in the midfield, they're more like dictating the play, but then you've got 10s who are literally
trying to get in the box,
just strikers,
like ball, play off the striker,
like a Bellingham sometimes, where like last season where he was pretty much getting a lot of goals, getting a lot of assists, he's just more in the box. But then
the benefit we've got of Bruno playing as a number 10, and I'm not a big fan of Bruno's, but he does work hard and he does get back behind the ball. And I know this is about keeping clean sheets again, but it is important. It's vitally important.
Yeah.
So when you've got him as a number 10, if your wingers do their job properly, which ours don't quite often, if your wingers are doing their job properly and Bruno's playing as a number 10, when the opposition have got the ball, sometimes you're going to have 5 in midfield, aren't you? So there's that little benefit of that. But a 4-4-2 where you've got 2 strikers, your wingers have got to be extra hard working.
Yeah. Speaking on Bruno, I mean, he has been a topic of conversation pretty much all season. I mean, he's got more red cards and goals this season, which is insane stat. Would you start him today? In your preference, because his red card did obviously get rescinded from the Villa game or Palace, I can't remember which game it was. So he obviously is available today. Would you start him? Considering the midfield options that we do have.
I was chatting to Beth about this during the week, and I said it'd be a good idea. At first, I said this, not to start him, to try and get some semblance of order in the team as to who's going to play on Thursday night. Today's an important game, but so is Thursday. And Bruno's not playing that great that we need to say, it doesn't make sense to say, we need to win this game, so let's think about that, because we're not playing well or winning games anyway. Do you understand what I mean? It doesn't make sense to say play. But then I had another thought, and then I said, the other point about it is, we've had more injury news since I first said that. The problem you've got now is you can look at it a different way. We've got a very few midfield players fit. So Bruno obviously can't play on Thursday. So does it make sense to play the player today who can't play on Thursday? Because you might, if you play 3 players today who are all available for Thursday and one of them gets injured, do you understand what I mean? So if Bruno plays, you've got less chance of injuring a player who you want to use on Thursday.
Yeah, true. That's
so there's
true.
2 ways of looking at it.
Yeah, true. Because to be fair, obviously Bruno, he has a record in both. He got a record in both competitions. So that Fenerbahce game is super important for Ten Hag, especially because he drew that Porto game. He needed to get at least 3 points from one of the 2 first. The FC20 or the Porto game. So that is almost a must-win, and it's probably going to be his most difficult game. It's coming up against Jose Mourinho.
It's going to be a really difficult game, Mordzs. I don't agree with you that it's a must-win. I think 10 points will get you through. I think if we don't lose and we can win, even one home game might be. If we can go unbeaten and win 1 or 2 home games, I think we'll sail through. So I think it's the tough. Look, obviously I'd love us to win, but I don't think it's the end of the world if we draw.
Really, 3 draws in a row.
Because you've got 3 points. Then I know it's from 3 games. But, this is where we are these days. Obviously, if we had the United team of old, I'd be saying, like, we will probably win, but it's not. I just feel as though 10. Well, I read something that the Opta stats have worked out, and they reckon 10 points in both the Champions League and the Europa League. They reckon 10 points will get you through. Well, you're playing 8 games.
10.
So
if you can't get 10 points,
if you can win 2 home games, that's 6 points.
Yeah.
You only need 4 draws and 2 wins to get. There's even 2 games you could perhaps afford to lose. We don't want to think like that.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, we haven't even really.
So I don't. That's possibly the toughest game in the group, with it being away and the atmosphere and Mourinho and Amrabat and Fred and all this coming into it. It's a tough game. I love us to win, but I don't think a draw will be the end of the world on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion anyway, the whole reason why they changed the format is so teams like United can definitely get through. I genuinely feel like that's because
great point.
The Champions League, let's be honest, United, even though we're terrible, we're still one of the biggest clubs in the world. We still bring viewers to the Champions League, to the Europa League. From their point of view, they need the big teams to get through to the next
stage. Absolutely distraught that United are not getting into the Champions League. They're distraught. The TV viewing figures, of course, it boosts the TV viewing figures for the Europa League, of course. But if United weren't in Europe at all, they'd be devastated.
100%. There's a lot of money on the line. Super chat here from Stuart Wallace. Don't usually agree with Rick, but he's won me over. Bruno is not just up for the captaincy, but he's not up for starting. Hello from Idaho, by the way. Glory, glory, Manchester United. Wow, Idaho. Where's
Idaho. I've been to Moscow in Idaho.
Oh, really?
You didn't know there was a Moscow there, did you? But he does. See if he knows there's a Moscow there.
I did not know that. But yeah, I mean, he said Bruno's not up for the captaincy, but he's also not up for starting. The opinion on Bruno, I feel like it's so like, 1 week, yeah, Bruno's our best player, and the next week, Bruno, drop him. It's so up and down with the fan base. Can we get a poll, actually, on would you start Bruno Fernandes today? In an ideal game, would you start Bruno Fernandes today? In my opinion, because of the injuries, 100%, Mainu's not available, huge loss. Ugarte, he did get a knock against Uruguay. I'm not sure if he's going to play today. That's a question mark. We genuinely have 3 midfielders available.
I think, yeah, Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno.
That's the only 3 that we have, unless we're going to put in Collier.
So you need, if Ugarte's got a knock, obviously Mainu's out for a few weeks,
He's out for a few weeks, yeah.
So if Ugarte's got a knock that maybe he can shake off by Thursday, that's important, isn't it?
Hopefully, I mean...
What's the young lad called who played a couple of games? I forgot his name now.
Collier.
Yeah, he looks all right, but we could do without throwing him in Fenerbahce.
I feel like we've treated Collier very harshly. He got thrown in against Liverpool at half-time. Left back against, who did he play left back against? Was it Barnsley? I think it was the Barnsley game. He got thrown in left back. He's not really given him the best opportunity. Hopefully he gets a good chance to play. Another super chat here from Michael Rule. The definition of insanity is trusting the Glazers over and over again. Evil geniuses, they are. Ineos trick, no manager can change this. I mean, let's go on to Ten Hag. We're obviously going to speak about Ten Hag. He says here that no manager can change this. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree, no. I think a manager can come in and just make a difference by improving the team shape, getting more players behind the ball more often, working on getting them clean sheets, that's the first thing. And then also... not being afraid to put 1 or 2 players in ahead of the supposed superstars now and then who are not particularly playing well in the first place. I
mean, going up against Thomas Frank today, he's a tactical, I mean, I don't want to throw the word genius out there, but he's known for his tactics. The reason why Brentford are even here, because of how well drilled and how well organised he puts his team in. Like he makes sure that, especially the fact that Brentford's biggest threat is set pieces. Any team whose biggest threat is set pieces, it's a very well-drilled team, because that's not something that's easy to do. So maybe this is like a little bit of an audition for him today. He was one of the names on the candidate list of managers who could potentially come in for Ten Hag. We know Thomas Tuchel can't come in anymore. Highly doubt Gareth Southgate's going to still be an option. So maybe if Thomas Frank puts in a good performance today, and he completely outruns Ten Hag, outsmarts him today, you never know. By January, we could be looking at Thomas Frank. Do you watch a little bit of Brentford football?
Obviously, I watch a lot of Premier League football. I've not seen much of Brentford yet this season, but I saw that stat recently that they're the first team in Premier League history to score in the first minute of 3 consecutive games. And the game after that, they scored in the first 2 minutes. And unbelievable. So I won't mind betting they're the first team in Premier League history to score 4 times on the bounce in the first 2 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
And the thing is, with those goals that they're scoring, they're not like accidental. They're not like just hoofing it long and just. They're actually well planned, well drilled goals.
Obviously, it breaks down, but what they. Because obviously, even though they're in the first minute, some of them are 30 or 40 seconds in, or a couple of them are. You can't work on what's going to happen in 30 or 40 seconds. But what you can do is roughly where you're hoping to get the ball to and get players around that area to try and win that second and third ball, and obviously 100%. Keep it alive, and which is what they've done in at least a couple of those goals.
Yeah, and one thing about those goals as well, it takes a lot of persistence. It takes a lot of, you've got to be on it from the start. Like straight away, 110%. Everyone's fighting for them first balls, winning every single duel in the first 5 minutes. That's something that United we need to implement into our games, and not just for the first 5 minutes, for the whole 90 minutes. You need to be playing at 100%.
You need to be switched on right from the kick.
Switched on from kickoff. Another super chat here from Ross McRae Magician. Making my way to Old Trafford. It's my first game. Well, you know what? Good luck.
Good luck, mate. Have a great day.
Good luck. Hopefully, this last season I took one of my friends to his first ever United game. It was against Crystal Palace, and I think we drew 0-0. It was one of the most boring games I think I've ever watched in my life. He was even in hospitality, and after the game I said, you know what, I apologise. I apologise. He wanted to see a goal. We didn't score. Hopefully, Ross, you're going to see a couple of goals today. I feel like...
Hopefully they're at the right end.
Yeah, true. Hopefully at the right end. It depends where you're sitting, actually. You might be in Stretford then, it's good energy. I think the atmosphere, to be fair, at United game, it is still rocking. Every game that I go to be fair, it is still, it's still the theatre of dreams, so you're still going to enjoy yourself. Another super chat here from Cal Robinson. Rashford and Højlund or Zirk Garnacho on left. Oh, I think he's talking about the two forwards. So he's saying Rashford and Højlund or Xerxes, Garnacho on the left, Ahmad on the right. Do you think that could work?
No, I don't like Rashford as a striker. I'm not keen on him on the wing, but I certainly don't like him as a striker.
Yeah,
he's not good enough with his back to goal, and even though he'd been a player who's trying to run onto long balls, you've got to be able to hold the ball up and take a few knocks. And he don't seem to be very keen on taking knocks, Marcus, I've got to be honest.
He's a bit of a touchy player, he likes to get past the player, not really muscle him and actually battle with them. Yeah. To be fair, speaking about that's maybe to talk about the striker position. Are you a Højlund or are you a Xerxes to start? In my opinion, I'm Højlund. I feel like, and not to try and take away from what Xerxes, the capability that he does have, I just feel like two very different players. And I feel like in terms of scoring a goal, who do I look at and think he's more likely to get a goal in a game? It is Højlund, in my opinion. I think Xerxes, his attributes in terms of holding the ball, linking up play, he's better than Højlund. He's great at that. I think he's genuinely probably one of the best in the teams at doing that. But in terms of getting the ball, having that striker instinct, I just feel like even like finishing, I don't feel like Xerxes he can get it. He's only 23 years old. He can definitely work on that and build on it. But in my opinion, I feel like Højlund has got more of that capability to put the ball in the net. What about you?
Not seen enough of Xerxes yet to be able to agree with you or disagree with you on whether he's capable of putting the ball in the net just as much. I mean, I saw an interview with Ten Hag a couple of weeks back. I can't remember what game it was, where he was asked about us. Was it even? Might have even been Beth who asked him actually. Yeah. Are we going to start scoring goals? And he replied by saying, well, our leading goal scorer, or one of our lead, because him and in the league, him and Bruno were the two leading scorers, weren't they, with 10 each last season? Yeah. So he said, our leading goal scorer is missing from last season. It made me laugh. It's almost like he's talking about he's got Harry Kane or Sergio Aguero missing. You know what I mean? 10 goals in the league, it isn't exactly a lot to write home about, is it? Yeah. So as much as he was our joint leading goal scorer in the league, it's not, and it was his first season. I'm not having to go at Højlund. It was his first season. It wasn't too bad. Yeah. But we need to be a lot better. We need to get a striker up there, and it certainly isn't worth writing. It certainly isn't correct to say, "Oh, we're missing this player" when he's only getting 10 goals in a season. Yeah. You need, if you've got a different player playing, you've got to hope that he can get at least 10 goals as well. And look, I saw Xerxes finish against Fulham, and I know he's missed a few chances since, but my money would be on. Obviously they're going to chop and change, so they won't get enough game time now. But my money would be on if either of them played, which ain't going to happen, but if either of them played in every single game, they probably would get 10 goals, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Your question was, who would I prefer? Xerxes is a better player overall. His touch is better, he finds space better, he passes it better. And I think that's going to help us to build up and make more chances, despite the fact that he might be the one who's not getting on the end of those chances because he's dropping deep and passing it. I just think we need to play better, and I think I would just about go with Xerxes. Højlund's a bit faster, a bit stronger, he seems, more bustly. But I don't necessarily agree with you that he's a better finisher because we've not seen enough of Xerxes yet, and we have seen him finish one goal superbly.
But you can go off what you have seen, and what I've seen from Højlund, his finishing is pretty good. He can shift it. I think he can create a goal better than Xerxes can create a goal. I think with Xerxes, somebody has to create the goal for him. He has to be on the end of a cross or some kind of link-up play. He has to be on the end of it, whereas Højlund, I feel like you can give it to him.
I'm not going to argue with you about that, Mords. You might well be right. But what I will say, when he's got 10 league goals in a season, it doesn't happen often enough. And obviously some of his goals are tap-ins as well, or are created for him. I remember a goal against Newcastle here that he shifted the ball on one side and smashed it in. That was a great goal. Did he score one against Spurs as well, was it, where he shifted it onto his left foot and smashed it in the roof of the net? But goals that he actually helped to create himself in the league, it probably only added up to 3 all season. So it's not...
Yeah. It's not a lot.
It's not enough to be able to say, he's the boy.
Guy. Yeah. And to be fair, Ten Hag, going off his logic, Højlund kind of went, how many games without scoring a goal at the start of his...
At the start, yeah. Well, Xerxes ahead of him, I think, at the minute. You know what I mean?
If you're going game by game, he's actually winning, so you can't have too much trust them. Another super chat here from Stuart Wallace. Go on, Rick. I don't know how to pronounce that. Boise, Idaho. Boise, Idaho.
Oh, Boise, Idaho, yeah.
Yeah,
I know it. I know it.
We had the privilege of watching a true captain in Keno without a decent manager. A proper captain will be kicking the shit out of his players, demanding better. Bruno isn't. I mean, talking about captains, I mean, a lot of people are obviously getting onto Bruno for his captaincy. If he wasn't the captain, who would be the captain? Like, in your opinion, who is our main leader in the team? Who would you look at for...
There's no doubt in my mind who it is, but he's obviously not going to play all the time because he's getting on in years. But Johnny Evans, without a shadow of a doubt, he's a proper captain material.
True. But I guess in terms of players who are going to be playing regular...
Who are going to be fit to play regularly... they're all either old or injured. Luke Shaw's an ex-one, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Yeah, Luke Shaw.
It's a tough one, Mords. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, true. You might have to go back to Maguire. Might end up going back. But yeah, Keno. What were your like? Because I feel like you obviously watched a lot more of Keno than I did. I was born in '99, so I obviously didn't watch as much of him. What, in your opinion, from someone who obviously watched probably Keno's whole career, in terms of being a captain, being a leader, what would you say were his main? I guess you wouldn't call him class him as attributes, but what were the main things that he did as a captain which kind of put him above everybody else?
Well, there was numerous things, but the way he would look after his teammates and defend his teammates on the pitch, you must have seen the video of him and Patrick Vieira in the...
Yeah, that was a big rivalry.
It's just the rivalry was massive, and obviously Patrick Vieira's about 6'4", and I think Keno's about 5'10", and he's putting him in his picture, putting him in his place because he'd spoken to Phil Neville. And Patrick Vieira didn't want to get involved in it, did he? Do you know what I mean? So Keno was just absolutely fantastic. I loved him. Absolutely fantastic in so many ways.
As a footballer as well.
Yeah, as a player, looking after his teammates, really standing up to be counted. Look at his performance in the Champions League semi-final after he got a yellow card, which he knew was then going to rule him out of any final, and he was still absolutely superb for the rest of the game. Keno was fantastic. You don't see many of them in your lifetime. Yeah,
genuinely. If you look at the Premier League right now, you probably can't put a lot of people on that level in terms of captaincy anyway, on that level as Keno. So genuinely, probably a once-in-a-lifetime captain that you're going to have in your team. But a lot of people are saying Dallo in the chat for captain.
Well, the different types of captains, and some captains, they sort of say lead by example. I mean, well before Keno even, you definitely won't remember anything of him, but Martin Buchan. Martin Buchan was just absolutely exemplary in his play, his touch, his passing, his positional sense. He was a centre-back who wasn't massive, he wasn't big, strong guy or anything, but he was just a top-quality player, and he led the team by example, really. And if everybody played like he did, we'd have had a championship-winning team instead of, in them days, we used to finish about 5th.
When was that roughly?
Martin Buchan was the captain from about 1976 for about 6 or 7 years.
Wow, well, definitely way before my time.
Yeah, well before you. But he was fantastic, and he led by example.
Yeah. Super chat here from Carl Richards. I work in Moscow, Idaho, Last place I would have expected Ricky to have visited. It's a small world. Hoping for a 3-1 win today. Cheers. I mean, yeah, I guess we're all hoping for a 4 win today. 3 goals will be amazing. Another super chat here from Edom FIFA. Hi, I think Ricky's ideas get slated unfairly. How do we know they won't work unless they get tried? I mean,
yeah. Well, something I'd like to say then, while we're on that subject, you know, you were speaking about, it crossed my mind, but we were speaking about Xerxes and Højlund either or, and we've also spoken about playing 4-4-2. I would love to try them both. But if you're going to try them both, because obviously Xerxes is that man who will come in and set the wingers in position, put the full-backs into position to get the ball across. So then you've got Højlund who's slightly ahead of Xerxes, and Xerxes not having to make all that ground up to get in the box. So Højlund's already sort of, if he comes short for the ball, Højlund's still got a 10 or 15-yard start on Xerxes, which Dwight York used to do this fantastically. So then Xerxes is then coming into the box like he did against Fulham a little bit later, which is great, because if you've got 2 forwards running at the same pace and one 10 yards in front of the other, if the ball's in front of him, great. But if it's not in front of him, because sometimes it comes in behind you. Yeah. So if the ball comes in behind you, Xerxes coming in. Do you know what I mean? So I would love to try that. But if we're going to try that, there's only 2 wingers we can possibly play. They've got to be hard working. It'd have to be Ahmad and Anthony. Because Rashford and Garnacho, they don't work back well enough.
So Ahmad on the right,
I would keep Ahmad on right. A lot of people pull me on that and say, yeah, but he's left-footed. But certain players have got a quality about them that they can play on either side. Yeah, I would love to see Anthony have a go on the left, Ahmad on the right. They're both really hard-working. They get back behind the ball well, much better than the other 2. And then you can afford, perhaps, to play with 2 strikers. And I'd love to see that happen.
Who would the 2 midfielders be, though?
That would have to be, if fit, it'd have to be Eriksen and Mainu, wouldn't it?
Okay, Eriksen and Mainu. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Let me know in the chat, what do you think about that potential 4-4-2 for United? Another super chat here from Eric Tailders Fanchon. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Should Erik Ten Hag experiment with a 3-5-2 going forward?
A 3-5-2.
So, I mean, to be fair, I mean, when we are in attack, Dalot does kind of play in midfield anyway, so we are kind of playing with that 3 in the back. And then it's just that 2, really, that we've already spoke about.
Well, you could have your 2 strikers that we just said. Yeah. You'd have to have 3-5-2, so you'd have three centre-backs, 3 central midfield players, and then 2 wide men who would have to be either full-backs or wingers, wouldn't they? Yeah. You'd probably have to have, I'd probably switch Ahmad to the left and have Dalot on the right. That'd be, if we were going to go with that, I'd have Dalot on the right and Ahmad on the left. 3 centre-backs. Do you know what? I think it'd be all right.
I feel like right now it's just
we're pretty solid for the middle. If you've got, for example, I would probably go with Lindelof, Maguire and Evans as 3 centre-backs. And then 3 midfield players, if all fit.
Lindelof, if you're talking about like all fit?
If everybody's fit, yeah.
Lindelof, Maguire and Evans?
Evans. Yeah, I think he's a vastly underrated player.
So none of Ten Hag
he's one of those players, and I'll tell you what I've seen said on I've seen it on Twitter a lot, and I've seen it on Instagram. People saying players who leave us and they do well at other clubs, and I keep reading this rubbish that the shirt was too heavy for them at United, and they just, in a lot of cases, they're just not getting played enough at United. In some cases, they're just going to play with, I'm sorry, but they're going to play with better players when they go to other clubs. Look at McTominay now, he's loving it with Napoli. The top of the league. If we was in Syria, we wouldn't be top of the league, we'd be 6 or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
So too many players are underrated, and the fans as well are part of that, underrating him. Lindelof is another player who, if we sell him, I think he's still only about 30, isn't he?
I'm not sure.
Can we look that up? Can we look that up?
How old Lindelof is?
But I think Lindelof's one of those players who will end up playing for the team who's better than us if we sell him.
Really?
As he's happening time and time again. I remember saying the same about Matteo Darmian, and he's won 2 Serie. He hasn't played in the Champions League final. Do you mean? Yeah. Inter Milan.
Yeah, true. I agree. I hear what you're trying to say.
When we signed Wan-Bissaka for 50 million quid, we sold Matteo Darmian for about 3. He's gone over there and won 2 Serie A's and played in the Champions League final. I mean, look, you don't have to think very deeply about it, Mords, do you?
I agree with what you're saying. There are I do think environment is a big thing. I feel like some players, obviously, playing for a club like United, in the turmoil that we've been in, the environment isn't great. And I can understand why a lot of players don't perform well in this environment. It kind of does make sense. Football is a job at the end of the day. When you're going into work, you want to work somewhere which is a nice place to work. You're going to get the best.
It's also nice, though, if you're playing for a manager who appreciates your qualities and plays you a lot. I mean, we don't want to start. I won't speak about it for more than 20 seconds. But Sancho's another case in point, and I know there's a big argument in the end. But the manager wasn't playing him enough before that, and it's clear what a good player he is when he's played for 2 spells at Dortmund and now at Chelsea. It's clear what a good player he is, and we weren't playing him enough. If we'd have been playing him all the time, maybe that argument in the end wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Good point. Another super chat here from Carl Robinson. Ideally bench Rashford, but they won't, so he starts. Bench him, assuming you bench him for Garnacho. Garnacho did have a little bit of injury, but he should be back for this game. In your opinion, would you bench Rashford for this game? Look, after the Barnsley game, I genuinely feel like Ten Hag's decisions in terms of when to bench players, when to rotate players, is the reason why we've been so poor since that Barnsley game. I don't think we scored a goal. In the Premier League, we've not scored a goal since that game. In fact, there was a stat that I saw, I think Beth said it on one of the shows. If we don't score today, it's 4 consecutive games that we've not scored.
4 consecutive Premier League
games that we've not scored since 1989. Something like April 1989. And I genuinely feel like the decisions he made after that Barnsley game are the reasons why we haven't scored goals. Dropping him, for once, we saw Rashford finally put in some good performances, start running. You know, he was running for in that Southampton game. I think he got either a goal or an assist in that game. The Barnsley game, obviously, got a couple of goals in there. And then the Palace game comes and he gets dropped. All of a sudden, now we see the Bisaccia, not old Rashford. I think the next game against FC 20, I think he dropped Mania in that game, or he rotated the team a little bit there. We scored 1 goal, we ended up drawing. And since then, it's just kind of been, he dropped Ahmad against Spurs. We lose 3-0. His decision making in terms of when to drop players and when to rotate them has been incredibly poor.
You might have a
then.
point, but the point about Rashford, he scored twice against Barnsley, didn't he, when we won 7-0. One of them was a really good goal, by the way, and it was brilliant the way he beat a man on the edge of the box and smashed it in the top corner. But at the end of the day, in a game that you've won 7-0 against what I call a 3rd division outfit, because it's the 3rd tier. It can boost your confidence and it can get you scoring goals. I think he scored against Southampton before that, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he scored 1 against Southampton, obviously 1 in the league. He's got 1 league goal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And no disrespect, I hate saying that because you are disrespecting him no matter how much you sugarcoat it. But I don't mean to disrespect Barnsley. But but you might as well go and look at, well, let me put it this way. If United have a training game at Carrington or whatever they're training at, it's Carrington, isn't it? Yeah. If they have a training game at Carrington where they pick 2 strong teams, because we've got more than 22 first-team squad players, haven't we? If we have a training game between 2 strong teams and Rashford scores in that, you might as well count that as counting goals against Barnsley. Do you understand what I mean?
No, you can't.
No, it's going to be if you're playing 11 aside and taking it seriously, and you've got the two strong Manchester United teams, it will be tougher to score in that training game than it will be against Barnsley in the Carling Cup.
In terms of difficulty, I hear what you're saying. I think in terms of that's not going to raise his confidence, though.
No, I agree. Yeah. I agree. What I'm trying to point out is don't read too much into him scoring 2 goals against Barnsley. Really don't.
Yeah. We do have some breaking news, though.
Go on.
Mazraoui
is fit. Is not fit.
Is not fit for this game. So if anyone didn't know, Mazraoui did have a heart. It was a minor heart surgery for like heart palpitations. Yeah. So there was doubts at first. People were talking on Twitter about 2 months. It wasn't 2 months. It was a few weeks. So he is fit, but it's unlikely he's going to start. Right. So it's likely that it's probably going to be Dallow's still going to play, but it's just about where Dallow is going to play. In my opinion, I feel like he's going to play Dallow on the right still, and then probably put a Lindelof or Martinez at left back, which It's not the greatest, in my opinion. I feel like we're still looking for a left back. We still have, apparently Luke Shaw and Malacia are making good recovery.
Yeah.
And Malacia is finally starting to like train with the team. He's starting to get his fitness back up. So there is no confirmed date for those two players. But that left back position is still a problem every single week. And we finally found a player like Mazraoui who could play every week, and you know.
Yeah, if he plumps for Lindelof as one of the fullbacks, whichever side they play.
Yeah.
Obviously, that leaves Martinez in a situation where he can then play centre back. But Johnny Evans played left-sided centre back last time out, didn't he?
Yeah, with Maguire.
And De Ligt came on at half time and played right-sided centre back. I'm pretty confident. I mean, look, I might be wrong, but after his man of the match performance, I'm pretty confident that Johnny Evans is going to play. But Johnny Evans is comfortable either position.
Yeah.
So maybe Martinez will play left-sided and Evans will play right-sided if he's not used as a full-back, Martinez. Yeah. So there's lots of options there. But De Ligt also didn't do himself any harm with his second half performance. Yeah. So De Ligt, if he wants to stick with De Ligt and Evans, Martinez, you're looking at between Martinez and Lindelof. And let's be honest, Lindelof didn't do himself any harm either. He played a full second half as a right full-back. I said this on a show the other day. We all love the shiny new toys. You can't wait and you're excited. And if anybody's playing well, and Mazraoui has been playing well, let's be dead fair here. We kept a clean sheet, and keeping a clean sheet at Villa Park is not the easiest thing to do. It was great. Yeah. It was great keeping a clean sheet there. Yeah. But Johnny Evans played half a game, just like Lindelof played half a game, just like Mazraoui did at full back, and it was almost seamless.
Well, we all know with Ten Hag, he does like his players. So he's very likely to.
You think Martinez will play?
I highly doubt he's going to drop Martinez 2 games in a row.
In which place do you think he'll pick you? Left back.
I think he'll play him left back. Yeah. I think we have seen him play left back before. I think it was
in the Charity Shield, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I do think it will be Martinez left back, and then really those 2 centre back positions, it could go anywhere. It could be De Ligt, Evans. Maguire is injured, so I don't think he's going to play. Lindelof could maybe Lindelof could get a look in there, I don't know. But
it's really, really interesting, the back four situation. Really
it's going to be a big decision. It's going to be a huge decision.
There's only 2 who I'd put my money on definitely starting, and that's Dalot and Evans. They're the only 2 I would put my money on that definitely start.
It's crazy to think after last season, the problems that we had at centre-back, we're still debating who we're going to play. Yeah, it's actually insane. We were on our 7th choice. We were playing Kambuala and Evans and Casemiro last season because of the difficulties we had. Yeah. And how many games have we in the season now? 7 games in, 8 games in or something? And we're still trying to debate who we're going to play at centre-back. But super chat from Carl Robertson again. Oh no, I already read that one. Another super chat from Sportbet Kenya. I know Bruno and Rasmus will deliver today 3-0.
Well done, lad. I hope you're right.
Hopefully, 3-0, that'll be strong. Super chat from Joshua Papantoniou. Probably pronounced it wrong. He didn't actually say anything, but thanks for the super chat. Another super chat from Carl Robertson again. A logical manager would have tried all of this. A logical manager would probably just have his own style of play and just stick to that, and it will actually work. But I guess we've got Ten Hag. I do want to go back to the poll that I did before. Wow. This is the first time I've ever seen this before. So we did a poll before about would you start Bruno today? Do you want to guess what the results are?
75% yes.
The results are 50-50.
Wow.
Exactly 50-50 yes and 50 no. That's crazy. I've never actually seen that. So that's what I mean, how the fan base is just like, it changes every single week. Right now it's literally like bang in the middle, which is...
I wonder if any of the ones who voted yes are actually voting yes just because they know he can't play on Thursday, like I said. So if they are only doing it for that, really it should be a bit the other way.
A little bit skewed. Yeah, true. No, true, you're right. So I think let's actually talk about the defence a little bit more. So obviously Mazraoui is, like I said, he is fit. Unlike the start, he'll probably come on. We spoke about the centre back position, but I want to talk about that whole defence in general. We have kept, a clean sheet in the last. I mean,
three of the last 4 league games.
I mean, if I look back at United's last 5 results, 0-0 against Villa, obviously 3-3 against Porto, 3-0 against Spurs, 1-1 against FC20, and then 3-0 against Palace. So defensively, it is probably our strongest
Strongest run for a while.
Yeah.
If we keep a clean sheet today, it'd be 4 clean sheets out of 5 in the Premier League. I bet you've got to go back sometime.
Yeah.
Sometime. It might even be years.
Yeah.
That we at last kept 4 clean sheets in 5.
Someone's fact check that. Somebody will know
You'd love to know
when the last time we kept 4.
I mean, we haven't done it yet, of course. But if
true.
we can today, I think it'd be one of our better runs for a good length of time.
100%. Another super chat from David Avery. Bruno is mentally drained. He needs a break.
Right, okay.
When it comes to players and playing a lot, in my opinion, if you're a professional player playing at that level, you should be able to play at least 50 games in a season. The whole mentally drained thing, to me, is a bit of a cop-out, in my opinion. Personally, I think it's a little bit of a cop-out to say that you're playing poor because you play a lot of games, or I don't necessarily hear it a lot. But
I used to play Saturday afternoon. I used to play Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Sometimes I turned out for a Wednesday afternoon. There's a Manchester Wednesday League where all the markets and the airport teams. I used to turn out in that when I had time.
Yeah.
And then I used to work a job all week and keep a family of 5 on 1% of not even 1% of what these players are earning. That's pressure.
Yeah,
don't talk to me about mental, having the mental strength.
I mean, mental health,
You know what I mean?
But another super chat here from John Reimer. Lindelof, Martinez, Evans playing in back, plus Dalot, Casemiro, Bruno, Garnacho, Ahmad, and in the middle, Rasmus. Wait, the way you wrote this is very confusing. So Lindelof, Martinez, Evans in back, Dalot, Casemiro, Bruno, Garnacho, Ahmad, and Ahmad in the middle, and then Rasmus up top.
So he's got Ahmad in Bruno's place, has he?
I think so.
Bruno not in that team, no?
Bruno is in this team, so I'm guessing the midfield is
right.
Bruno, Casemiro, and Ahmad. I don't know, but yeah, he's just given his starting 11. So anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about the midfield. That's a huge conversation now, considering that Mainu is injured. Look, Brentford literally have ideally an all-Danish midfield, and I think that kind of tells a story of how Thomas Frank wants to play, because we know that Danish team, they do like to keep possession. They're all very technically gifted, and I speak to someone earlier about who their ideal midfield would be against this team. Genuinely, if we don't play Eriksen, I don't think any player can technically keep up with Brentford midfield. I don't think we have another player that on the ball is as good as a Damsgaard or a Norsgaard, a Jensen. I don't know if Jensen's going to play today. He did get injured. I'm not sure if he's back for this game. But those players in midfield, they're so technically gifted. If we don't play Eriksen, I'm genuinely worried as to who can keep the ball in that midfield. We're most likely going to get run out if we are playing a Casemiro, Ugarte and a Bruno.
Well, not just because Eriksen has been playing well recently and played in most of the games, but we've got such an injury list in midfield. Eriksen's bound to play anyway.
He has to play.
Surely,
yeah. We've literally got 3 midfielders available.
And that includes Bruno, does it?
Yeah.
We're counting him as a striker, aren't we?
Second striker. Kind of a second striker. So, I mean, usually we would have, like I said, usually we would have a debate as to who would the midfield be, but how big of an impact do you feel like Mainu not being available is?
Massive, because it's numbers-wise to start with. Strength off the bench, if you want to change the game up, or if somebody's on a yellow card. When did that happen recently? I know it's not a midfield player, but this can happen to a midfield player. Rashford got booked at Villa Park, and within 5 minutes made another terrible tackle.
Had to come
and we subbed him straight away. He was lucky he didn't get a red, and we subbed him straight away. So situations like that, you're in a situation where you've not got the strength on the bench, so it's vital. It would be a better team with Mainu in it, but even more important, we'd have a stronger squad if he was there. Yeah,
team is out. I'm gonna try and get that quickly now.
Can't wait. I can't wait for the back 4.
Have I got it? Could someone send it to me and I'll read it out?
Can't wait for the back 4.
I'll check on my phone. It's on my phone. So the team news is out. So we have Onana in net as expected. Dalot, De Ligt, Johnny Evans, and Lisandro Martinez.
So Martinez is at left back.
Martinez at left back, another centre back pairing of De Ligt and Johnny Evans. Midfield 3, as we just discussed, of Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno Fernandes. And then the front three.
Let me guess.
I mean, go on. You can guess.
It's Garnacho, Højlund, and Rashford.
Yeah.
He's got no imagination, the guy.
It's the same thing.
Try something up
every time.
Change it up. Yeah.
Ahmad, once again, no injury, no poor game, no red card, no yellow card, gets dropped once again. It's like
we're going to struggle to score. Bruno's not playing well. Not that I'm a big fan of his anyway. I don't think he's played well for us really for a long time. And then obviously we've just spoke about Højlund. His back to goal play isn't that great. That's why I spoke about Xerxes. You know, it bounces off him a bit too often for my liking. And then the wingers, they just want to cut in and shoot all the time. Which it's just look. I'd love us to go and score 2. Maybe it'd be a dream to score 3. I'd love us to, but let me put it this way to you. I think that clean sheet is going to be even more important today and get us that point. You know what I mean?
Super chat here. I missed super chat before from Joshua. He said, I was trying to say that I think the Sancho issue was dealt with wrong. Eric Ten Hag brought an underperforming Anthony and was under pressure to get results. Interesting point there. But let me know in the chat, what is your opinions about that starting 11? Obviously, the main talking points here, no Ahmad. De Ligt is starting. I'm struggling to think who would even play over him anyway. Maguire's still injured, so other than maybe Lindelof.
Yeah, is Lindelof on the bench?
Do we have the bench? I'm not sure. I think the bench is. I'm not sure we've got the bench. We'll find the bench. There's 2 youth team players on the bench. Let me try and find the full team for you. But in terms of obviously Garnacho and Rashford, we spoke about them obviously being more cutting in, more trying to get that goal. Do you feel like Rashford and Garnacho, is there a little bit of pressure for them two right now? Because they are playing a lot of games. Ahmad is constantly getting dropped. Eventually, if Ten Hag's job isn't safe and we do get another manager, he comes in with a completely new philosophy, completely new ideal starting 11. Do you feel like there's a little bit of pressure for those 2 players to play? Because if another manager's come in, one of them could get dropped very, very easily. So they kind of have to put in performances now that they are getting these opportunities to play a lot of minutes.
I don't think they should be thinking about what could happen if a new manager comes in. They need to be working their socks off to keep this manager in his job.
Yeah.
Well, for more reasons than one. Not just because that's what they should be doing anyway, but also they are getting selected left, right, and centre by this manager. Yeah. So they owe this manager. Do you know what I mean? They owe him big time. So they should be working their socks off to make sure he stays in the job and not even thinking about if he loses his job and what would happen. If a new manager does come in, though, he should start with a clean sweep and just see what he thinks about it in training. Obviously, he's going to know Man United's players, no matter which manager would you take on who doesn't know Man United's players. There must be some managers out there who watch United and like you hear people. What did he say? I'd say I'm just talking about different players. It's only comes not because it's Scott McTominay again, but I heard. Did you hear what Paolo Di Canio said? You know, he's an ex-footballer, well-respected footballer, and he said the directors at Man United should be arrested for selling Scott McTominay. Do you know what I mean? So there must be other managers. Or I know he's an ex-footballer, not a manager. There must be other managers who see United play and think, surely Ahmad's better than him. There must be. No, so would we not get another manager who might see that? It doesn't really matter how hard Garnacho and Rashford try if they don't play well enough. And I think, and as I said before, this working back behind the ball is so vital, so vital. And I believe Ahmad's miles better than them 2 at that.
I've got the subs here.
Right, come on.
Obviously, Bayern there, goalkeeper. Lindelof, Mazraoui as the 2 defenders. So he is on the bench. He probably will make an appearance. Midfielders, so we've got Ugarte. He is available to play. Fletcher, so Darren Fletcher's son, he is available to play. Is that the
first time he's been on the bench in the league?
He might be. Again, another
Can we check that? I'd love to know that.
I don't think I've seen him on the bench before, so it'll be one of his few, if it not his first. Obviously, Ahmad, Anthony, Xerxes, and Ethan Wheatley on the bench. So likely subs he's going to make, like I said, Mazraoui, potentially Ugarte.
He'll only change his defenders if he has to. I wouldn't
You don't think you see much right?
I wouldn't expect any of them defenders to get a game unless it's absolutely necessary. He has changed his centre backs in recent games, but he deemed it necessary. I mean, usually when you replace a defender and it's necessary, usually it's either A, because he's injured, or B, because he's on a yellow card and looking dodgy.
Yeah.
It's not usually because I think the manager thinks when he's selected 2 centre backs like he did in Porto.
Yeah.
It's not usually that you replace 2 centre backs just because you think the next 2 will do better job. Do you know what I mean? Which is what he did that day. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think the defenders will get a run out unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
I think mind you can make 5 subs. You're more likely to see Ahmad and who have we got? Ugarte. Maybe Xerxes, maybe Anthony even. I think there's 4 and plus 1 other.
But considering that
I'd love to see Fletcher for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that won't happen unless we're winning 2-0, and I can't see that
even
happening
2-0, I feel like we need to be like 4-5-0 to make that kind of change. But what I was saying, we are playing 2 games literally almost every week now. So
do you know how old he is, Fletcher?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure he's playing for the under 18, so he's probably around that
I've
age.
heard good things about him, but I'm not watching.
He scored. I saw a goal that he scored the other day where the ball came over, he's volleyed it, and he's gone top corner, amazing goal. So
if he's anywhere near as good as his dad, he'll do for me.
Quality player. I feel like they're 2 very different players.
Yeah.
We know Darren Fletcher was a hard worker. Him and Carrick in that midfield, like they were doing the work for the players who maybe had more of a freedom to go forward. You have players like Darren Fletcher who were just like running everywhere. He is 17 years old, that's what I told by a producer, 17, so very young player, good talent. Hopefully we will see him in the team soon. But the point I was making was we are playing a lot of games now, so the subs that he does make are becoming more and more crucial every game because he is going to have to be resting potentially a player like Johnny Evans. He can't play him every single game. He's still 37 years old, so he is going to have to eventually start to rotate him in these teams and potentially put on a Lindelof or Mazraoui. But like you said, we are probably going to see an Ahmad. Hopefully, we do see a bit of Ahmad, not just a 10-minute spell at the end of the game, 15-minute spell when we're losing 3-0. And it's like, go and run around. I think that's a bit of a disrespect for him anyway. He deserves a bit more game.
Without a doubt.
But more super chats coming in from man like Gabe. I thought Tadibo was a generational centre-back. I haven't seen a lot of Tadibo since obviously.
Why is he saying that though? Is he not playing well at the minute? Or?
I'm not sure. Might not be playing well. So we can't even keep tabs on him anymore. He's definitely not coming back to United, or coming to United. Super chat from Frightening Shadows. I hope this isn't going to be a horror show from us today, but if it is, the chat's better off watching my creepy pasta stories instead. I mean, shout out to Creepy Shadows. Go check out his creepy pasta stories. So they're interested. Another super chat from Trey Warren. We just need to sit deep and hope for the best. That midfield is suspect. That's very like Van Gaal-esque. Like just sit deep. Don't force a play. If we score, we score. If we don't, at least we didn't concede. That's very like safe. And to me, I'll be honest, as a United fan, I hate that. I hate that we've come to that conclusion. I hate the fact that we're at a position where we're more scared to concede than we are to actually go out and score.
That's where we are, more.
That's just the position
where we are. We've got to accept it. We're 14th in the league. We finished 8th last year. We've got to start climbing. We've got to start doing better. Yeah. And you start by nicking points that maybe you can't get, and by keeping a clean sheet. When you keep a clean sheet, you're not hoping to get a point. You're hoping to get 3. You've got to get that goal.
Yeah. But onto the midfield as well. I want to speak a little bit about Ugarte. Now, he was a player that, let's be honest, everyone was looking forward to him to come, especially after that Liverpool game where Casemiro had an absolute stinker. And it was kind of like, let's be honest, the whole fan base was just, get him out, get Casemiro out. We need Ugarte. We need somebody to just bring life to that midfield, or to at least bring a bit more structure and a bit more sturdiness to the midfield. And we obviously did eventually get Ugarte over the line. In my opinion, I've not seen a lot of Ugarte. Yes, he hasn't played a lot of games and not a lot of minutes. But do you feel like he's been the player that we've been expected? Because in my opinion, I don't think he has.
He's had so little game time, but he hasn't looked fantastic when he has played, I
don't think he's been this rock in the midfield. And to be fair, let's be honest, a lot of people didn't watch him for PSG or Sporting. Nobody really, he didn't even play a lot. He wasn't a starting player for PSG. So even if you were watching that team, you didn't see a lot of Ugarte. I think he played like 30 games off the bench, something like that. So I feel like what we expected and what we needed wasn't necessarily what we got. And we do have a player there, and I'm not trying to write him off and say he's done, he's never going to become a good player. He's still, 23, same age as Xerxes, so he's definitely still got a lot of learning and developing to do. But I remember saying, I can't remember what game it was, but if you genuinely think Ugarte coming into this midfield is going to make a difference, considering the style of football that we play, and I call it style of football, the mistakes that we're making in that midfield, the fact that we're so open, anyone's going to get caught out. Osman said it literally, Osman's been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks. The fact that the midfield is so open, regardless of whether Ugarte is in that midfield, you're going to see problems.
Team's got to be more compact. The two wingers that I've just said should be playing because they work harder and they stay closer to the midfield players. There's less space for the opposition to operate in, and then if a tackle goes in, you've got other players around you who can, it too often happens in our midfield that there isn't another player on hand to nick the second ball when a tackle goes in because there's not enough players there. We need the wingers to be deeper and then stay as a compact four. You just spoke about the Van Gaal era. And somebody sent me a clip the other day about with Mourinho on it talking about your team remaining compact, and he was speaking about the team needs to stay compact whether you're attacking or whether you're defending. It doesn't matter. If you're attacking, you've got all your players up sort of halfway line or further than that, and then you're there and thereabouts to pick up the loose balls, to stop them getting out too easily, and when they do get out, if you drop deeper and deeper, they've got a massive big block for them to try and get through. You need to stay compact whether you're attacking or defending, and when you happen to be deep, don't you've been forced into that situation. Don't look at it as being defensive. You do get forced into that situation against anybody. Every team has 5 minutes in a game. You know what I mean? Certainly in the Premier League, anyway. So you need to be compact defensively when that happens. And if you're on top in a game, you need to be compact but more offensive with it. Halfway line and further up. Yeah,
100%. In terms of that. So obviously you're speaking about the wide players and how they can help with the midfield. I want to talk a bit about the individual players in there. Do you still have hope in Casemiro? Because he obviously is starting today.
But what we were touching on there was something about Ugarte coming into the side and needing assistance. The same thing applies to Casemiro. You know what I mean? You do need players around you, and he's not suddenly a shocking player. He's not suddenly. He might not be quite as fit as he used to be, but he should be able to get as fit. If he's not quite as fit as he used to be, he needs to get on a treadmill more often. It's a simple game, you know what I mean? You don't. You might not be quite as sharp, but you've got to be able to get around the field. You've got to keep. Eriksen does that. Eriksen keeps moving all the time. He's not Linford Christie, but you know what I mean. He keeps on the move.
Keep the movement. Yeah, you don't have to be sprinting.
You keep on the move all the time, and you get to positions. When they've got the ball, you get yourself into a position where you goal side, and you're in a position to pick up loose balls if tackles go in. But also, when your team does get the ball, you're on hand for them to pass it to you. Yeah. So Eriksen keeps on the move. Casemiro needs to keep on the move. And if Ugarte comes in, but they need those wingers next to him as well. It's no good if the wingers aren't there because they've got to go out. It's no good for anybody. I spoke about Roy Keane earlier. Yeah. Even Roy Keane, he had Beckham and Giggs. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. His job was a lot easier. No disrespect to Keane, by the way, but his job was a lot easier in that team than Casemiro's is in this team or Ugarte's.
A lot more isolated.
He's got those players near him.
Yeah, 100%. Super chat here from Sean Turner. You can't judge Ugarte yet, but let's be honest. Can we say any of Ten Hag's signings have been good? Euro is his only hope. For me, if we don't win today, he's got to go. Strong statements. Ooh. Very, very strong statements. He said, let's be honest, can we say any of Ten Hag's signings have been good? Do you agree?
That's a bit harsh.
That's a bit harsh, in my opinion.
There must be. I mean, Mazraoui's doing okay, isn't he?
Mazraoui's a decent player. I still think Martinez has been decent for us. To say maybe he hasn't been that great this season, but last season, 100%, he was definitely a good player for us.
Anthony was too much, wasn't he?
Anthony was insane.
A hell of a lot of money.
Anthony's probably the worst. Probably the worst signing that he's had.
I don't know if I'm missing someone, but I can't think of someone that I would say
stands
is
out.
An absolute raving success. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. there's hope. There is hope in the players that he has brought in. I do think there's hope in De Ligt. There's hope in Mazraoui. There's hope in Højlund.
Yeah. Xerxes.
There is hope for a lot of the players. Like I said, Euro, definitely hope there. Young players, 17, 18, something like that.
Yeah.
So there is definitely players in there. I mean, he did bring up Mainu from, I know it's not a signing, but he brought up players from the academy. So it's not all terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, he says here, look.
That's been mentioned before on the show. And I said about Mainu, and he does deserve a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
But when the very first time I saw Mainu play, I think it was against Arsenal in a pre-season friendly that was played in New York.
When he got injured?
Did he get injured in that game?
Maybe it wasn't.
I can't remember if he got injured or not. All I'm going to say is, the very first time I saw him, within 10 minutes, I was like that, sitting up. Wow, who's this kid? So how much credit does the manager deserve, if you understand what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I'd never watched him play for the youth team or played in training or anything like that. But as soon as I watched him play for 10 minutes, it was pretty obvious there's a top player there. Or there's certainly a lot of potential there as soon as I saw him. So you know, hopefully, look, he deserves a bit of credit, but at the same time, it'd have been a shocking miss if he wouldn't have spotted it. You know what I mean?
I think the first time I saw Mainu play was that FA Youth Cup final.
Right.
Him and Garnacho both played in that game. Both of them were at that point, people were calling him like a young Pogba. That's the shouts that I was hearing on like Twitter, and obviously it was a bit of a stretch because like as. I'm not going to get into Pogba, but he's obviously like a generational player in my opinion, like in terms of talent. But the performances that he had for that youth team were so good that people were already looking at him. Before he even had a first team looking, he already had those shouts in. So you can't, it's harsh to not give credit because at the end of the day, as a manager,
he has brought him forward.
You picked him and you put him in a lot. You put him in difficult.
He took a chance on him when he was dead young.
100%. And the games that he played him in were not easy games to play. He played against, his first like 5 games was like away at Anfield. I think we played away at Goodison Park, away at St James's Park, home against Bayern. Like he played some Galatasaray as well. Like, he played some difficult games, so we put a lot of trust in him, and to be fair, it did pay off. So you got to give him credit there. But moving on, I mean, we've got about 30 minutes left. I wanted to talk about our players to watch. So now that we actually know the team,
lineup,
now that we know the lineup, we're going to speak about which players do you feel like. I feel like players to watch are a bit confusing for some people. They're not necessarily the best player in the team. It's just who you got an eye on, who are you keeping tabs on this game, who are you going to be like focusing on and seeing, okay, what's his first touch like? Is he playing, in the right space? Is he doing his job, what he needs to do? What player would you say is one to watch?
Well, against this Brentford team who have got some particularly lively forwards who are scoring plenty of goals, I would say Johnny Evans. I love watching Johnny Evans play anyway. But he could have a difficult day today. Different type of player to play. I know Watkins is lively, who we marked the other day, but Watkins, he managed to get up behind him and get a leg in front a few times. Johnny Evans was so strong against Villa, but this could be a different type of game. And I think the pacey players of the Brentford forwards, I think they could give him a right torrid afternoon. So I'm hoping Johnny Evans passes this test.
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. It's going to be a difficult game for the defence. Umbremo, insane season already. He's level with goals with Cole Palmer. And we look at people talking about Cole Palmer as being one of the players in Europe, one of the top players in Europe right now. So the fact that Umbremo's got the same amount of goals as him, he doesn't have the same amount of assists, so it is a bit of a difference in his game. But he's still got 6 goals. Like I said, he's got 38% shot conversion. Second to Duran.
We could do with stopping him getting shots in, couldn't we?
Literally, and I think Wisser as well. I don't know if he's
lively.
He's lively, but I don't know if he's going to play today. He did get an injury, but
I did look at the Brentford team. Can we bring it up?
I did hear. Yeah, let me actually get the Brentford team up. But he was in training. So the team, I think this is the team anyway, but. The team is Flecken in net, Collins and Pinnock centre backs. Aja, I can't remember the French name, Vandenberg. Jensen's not playing, so it's a Damsgaard, Norgard and Jano. And then Mbuemi on the right. Scheider, I don't know how to pronounce the name either, but Scheider and Lewis Potter. I think that is a team. That's the team that I'm seeing here.
Right. Lewis Potter's a midfield player, isn't he? Am I right there?
He's on the left.
Yeah, he's on the left.
He's on the left.
Yeah.
So I think the key players that are obviously missing, they've got they've got quite a lot of players quite a few players injured as well. So they've still got Jensen injured, still got Wissa injured. They've got who else? A couple other players in there, but
he's a real danger when he plays, Wissa.
Yeah, I think he's got 3 or 4 goals this season already, more than every one of our players. So definitely a big threat. But like I said before, the defence is definitely going to be under pressure.
It's going to be stretched at times today, without a doubt.
A lot of people are saying De Ligt to right back.
No chance.
I mean, if you look at the team, I don't think he will be. But if you look at the team, it could be a Martinez centre back.
It's all got to be messed around so much. If you put De Ligt at right back, Evans has got to switch from left to right centre back. Martinez comes in at left
centre back and then Dalot at left back.
It's not as many changes as I first thought, but you know, it's still unusual for De Ligt to play right back, and it's also unusual for Evans to switch to the right. Look,
I don't know.
It could.
I genuinely don't know. It's Ten Hag.
I can't see De Ligt playing right back. I can't see it.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Surely Martinez is more suited to full back than I know it's left-sided.
Yeah.
But also that strengthens your right side because Dalot can switch to his natural position.
Back to right back.
It's got to be that way.
I mean, the chat, everyone's saying in the chat, De Ligt right back. We'll just have to wait and see. We've got another super chat in here. I don't think I didn't miss one. So we've got a super chat from, let me try and find it, Syra Bar. Casemiro is going to get exposed with this setup and be blamed once again. Only Eriksen looks after the ball in this lineup.
Look, I've been saying this since the Solskjaer years. It is too attacking. The two wingers are not proper. They don't work back as well as most wingers in the league. Yeah. Then you've got a striker and you've got Bruno, who also likes to get forward so much. You know, if they break on us, it's ridiculous when you think about it because obviously Eriksen is I know he's a cultured player. He looks after the ball well, but he's also got a great shot on him. He gets a few digs in from around the edge of the box. Yeah. He likes to get to that position. So if we've got Eriksen, who's also going to end up around the edge of the box, and they get break on us, Casemiro's going to be on his jack at times, isn't he? So it could be. Look, it could end up being a bit of a shambles, but I hope I'm wrong.
Wissa is on the bench. Let me actually look at Brentford's bench because I think what I'm looking at isn't exactly correct. Their lineup is the same, but I'm trying to find. Someone can send me the bench and I'll read it out. Wissa might be on the bench, so that is a threat, another threat that could be coming on for Brentford. But my player to watch was Eriksen, because like I said earlier in the show, I genuinely think he's the only player technically that can keep up with the Brentford midfield. Even the fact that they've got an all-Danish midfield and Brentford and Eriksen is Denmark's best midfielder kind of says it all anyway. He's kind of their leader when it comes to international duty. So they all know each other's game. They all like to keep possession, and as well they're a bit physical. Brentford do have a strong midfield, so the battle is going to be in that midfield. And I think, especially with the way Bruno has been playing, he's not exactly been on form. And you spoke about Casemiro potentially being caught out because of the whole wide play. He's not coming in and helping. I genuinely feel like Eriksen's going to be in for a run of his money. But I feel like if he has a good game, it's going to be key to us potentially winning. Just because he genuinely is the only player. Because Mainoo's not in the team as well. He's the only player that can really actually go toe-to-toe with that Brentford midfield.
The manager's been speaking about him during the week, hasn't he? Was it in his press conference? I think it was. The manager was talking about Eriksen, saying how important he is these days to us and how he looks after the ball better and how patient he is, how calm he is on the ball. He was saying all this sort of stuff about him. Yeah. The question I'd like to ask the manager is, why didn't you play him more last season? It's like he's just found out.
He just found a new player. You bought him. Did he not buy him?
Yeah, he was with us. He's been with us more than 2 seasons now, hasn't he? I think he came in under Ten Hag.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's his player.
So he had a full season where he was in favour a lot. Then he got injured. He got injured badly, didn't he, against... it was early in the season.
Yeah.
It was a cup tie, wasn't it? The big centre forward, the big clumsy... What's he called?
Again, for what to you?
Was it for Reading? Was the Reading ring a bell?
I can't remember.
It was a cup tie, and he got injured by... I can't think of his name. But a centre forward that's been around for years. And he was out then for months, so that was the beginning. That was the beginning of last year. But he's been fit for months and months and sat on the bench.
Sat on the bench is right away.
There's no reason why he shouldn't have played more last season.
Considering how bad
now
he was
the
as
manager
well.
sometimes, suddenly, he's in the team virtually every game. There's a point, by the way. There's a few people ridiculed me. I did something on my own Instagram just before we played Southampton, and it'll still be on there. And I said, Andy Carroll, that was who injured him, Andy, I told you he was a big lump of the centre forward. So just before we played Southampton away, I said, we've got to stop conceding goals. We're conceding too many goals. And at this stage, I wasn't even worried about scoring. We were just conceding too many.
Yeah.
And I said, we've got to get Eriksen in the team, somebody who looks after the ball. And I said, look, he plays for Denmark. I looked at Denmark's recent results against good teams. They don't concede many goals.
Yeah.
Denmark.
They keep the ball
so
up.
don't worry that he's a player who's playing in a proper team. I'm not saying he's fantastic defensively, but he doesn't let the team down.
Yeah.
He doesn't let the team down. We've got to get him in our team. So he came in against Southampton. He's played. Since coming in against Southampton, he's played 6 of our last 7 games, or like one of them was against Barnsley. And we've only lost 1 of those 7 games, and that was the one game that he was left out of, which was Spurs. To be fair, that's the toughest game we might well have lost had he played. Yeah. But it's still there in black and white. He's played 6 of the last 7 games. The only one he didn't play is the only one we lost.
Yeah, and we haven't conceded.
Yeah. Well, we haven't conceded in the league. We didn't play in, but we have conceded a few in Europe.
Yeah. To be fair, he was actually at fault.
He was at fault with a goal. But even if you stretch it all out and look at all the games. We've let 3 in against Porto with him playing, 1 in against FC20. But then we've kept a clean sheet against Palace, a clean sheet against Southampton, a clean sheet against, I know it was Barnsley, Villa. And then the other league game, Villa. So we've kept 4 clean sheets, is that, and conceded 4 goals. So we've let 4 goals in with him playing in 6 games. That's a fantastic ratio. I'd take that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
take that.
True.
That's even including the fact that we let 3 in 1 match.
Yeah, and to be fair, we got lucky in that game as well. Yeah. Maguire kind of saved at the end of the game. Yeah. But another super chat here from Clayton Daniels. This lineup is shocking. He should have dropped Bruno for Eriksen, play Casemiro and Ugarte in midfield. Hope Ten Hag got it right.
I wouldn't disagree with that, but who sent that super chat in?
Clayton Daniels.
Clayton, I don't know if you heard what I was saying before, and it is a valid point, but Bruno can't play on Thursday. So if you was to play those 3 that you'd like to play, and I would prefer that midfield 3, if one of those 3 gets injured, we're then really struggling on Thursday. Yeah. So I don't think it's a terrible idea to play Bruno today, just because the other whoever else was going to take his place can stay fit for Thursday. Yeah, because we desperately don't need another midfield player getting injured who's actually eligible to play on Thursday night, do we? Yeah, true. I was going to say, I'm not going to talk a lot about the Thursday game because we're going to have shows up until then, but who would you, considering the players that we do have injured, Bruno obviously can't play, who would that midfield be for you? Well, I think Ugarte's on the bench today, so he'll be fit, so it's got to be Ugarte, Casemiro and Eriksen for me on Thursday night, Yeah, true. So super chat from Clayton. Send in your super chats, let us know what you think about this United team. And like I said before at the start of the show, what are your new score predictions? Now that you've seen the team, now that you've seen Brentford's team, have your predictions changed? Are you a bit more confident? Are you less confident? Everyone keeps talking about this Kudus game. I do have it on my right here, and he has got a red card, which is a bit... What score is that game? It is 4-1 to Tottenham. 4-1 to Tottenham. It was 1-0 last time. The last time I looked at it, it was 1-0, so it's a bit crazy how that game's changed. But yeah, the poll for the Bruno one has ended, and it was pretty much still 50-50. So interesting what people's opinions are on that. A couple of chats in here. Someone said, continuing to not start Ahmad on the right is absolutely stupid at this point. Very, very true. Look, let's talk about something a little bit positive. I feel like with United, a lot of things are very negative. So look, if we do win this game, I say this is positive. I don't know how positive this is, but in the table we are, let me get this up again. In the table we are 13th. West Ham are losing, so they do drop below us. And Brentford are 11th. If we do win, we do jump up quite a few places. Finally back in the top half of the Premier League. Right. It's very unlikely that our goal difference will go back to positive. Who are the 3 teams that are above us, the next 3 teams that are above? 3 teams above us, we've got Bournemouth in 12th, Brentford in 11th, Nottingham Forest in 10th, So Forest
and Fulham
Forest
at
and
ninth.
Bournemouth and Fulham have all still got to play yet, don't they?
They've all those teams still got to play. If everything goes amazing for us and everyone gets the right results, the highest we can achieve is joint ninth. I say 10th, but the same points as ninth. Based on that and based on the whole Ten Hag, whether he stays or not, let's just say he does stay, because all we can go off is what's happening right now. Where would you say is United's best or highest achievement in terms of the Premier League? Where would you say is the most likely that we're going to get?
The best that we could do this season.
In your opinion, how high do you think United could get, considering that Ten Hag is still in the job? We can't predict and say he's going to get fired next week.
It's a really, really tricky one, Mords. You never know if the penny drops. Look, if the penny doesn't drop and he doesn't start getting Ahmad in the team more, if he doesn't start playing, maybe with 3 proper midfield players and leave Bruno out occasionally. People always talk about what we're going to do without Bruno, but we're not scoring any goals anyway. Do you know what I mean? Let's tighten it up. If he's not going to do anything like that, the best we're going to finish is probably 8th again. But I honestly believe that with the correct person in charge, and it can be this man, if he starts making more correct decisions, and who's to say when the penny might drop? Ruud van Nistelrooy's on his right hand side now, can't he? Can't he see it? Do they not have discussions? I can't believe that 2 such professional people both agree. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe Ruud's pleading with him to play Ahmad more. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But if they start getting it right, we could get in the... Look, I know it's nothing for Man United standards, but we're already that far behind. Mind you, it's I was about to say 6th, but it's really that early in the season. How many points are we behind top 4? Who's in 4th at the minute?
4th is Chelsea. They're on 14 points.
And we've got how many?
8. So
8.
6
so we're only 6 points behind 4th. Points, yeah. It's nothing. If you could put... Look, Chelsea are playing well, but they drew at home with Forest last week. They could easily drop 6 points in 5 games. Yeah. If we could put 5 wins, that's all. If we could just put 5 wins on the bounce together, we could be 4th. That's all it takes.
Mathematically, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
But realistically, 5 wins.
Yeah, but realistically, we ain't going to do it. But it's also realistic that you probably would be 4th if you won 5 games on the bounce. Yeah, true. You know what I mean? Or 5th, whatever.
True. I mean,
they'd have to, for us to be 4th, they'd have to lose a couple, but maybe they only drew 1 and lost 1. We might be a point behind them. But near us, damn it, if we put 5 wins in a row on the board, we'll be in the top 6.
Yeah, 100%. But from looking at this, there actually hasn't been a team that's won.
It's not going to happen. I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying it is
possible.
It's mathematically possible, and it doesn't take a hell of a lot. There's worse teams than us in the history of the Premier League suddenly put 5 wins on the board. There's teams in relegation trouble, that have rescued themselves by putting maybe not 5 wins on the bounce, but it could have happened.
Everton did that last season. They crawled out of relegation.
So it can happen.
A few teams did that. Crystal Palace put in a good run of games last season
they
as well.
did, yeah.
So you are right. It is possible. It is possible. And with United, genuinely...
But realistically, I say 8's our best possible. Yeah, realistically.
I love being optimistic. Now, I don't think we're going to be better than Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Chelsea. That's a no-go. So top 4 to me is impossible.
Almost, yeah.
Genuinely think it's impossible, just because of how good those teams are this season. Yeah. And then you got to look at... I'm kind of basing it on how well other teams are doing, because... I don't think
look all right as well,
I don't think we're going to have a revolutionary change in the team where it's all of a sudden we're just one of the best teams, we're just playing amazing football. I feel like it's going to genuinely base on if other teams drop points and how how much it changes. I think Tottenham, if Ange can get back to what Tottenham were doing, I mean, they have put in a couple of good results this season, but they are still losing a lot of games. Yeah. But if Ange can get back to how he was doing at the start of when he went to Tottenham and they start putting in results, I think they're going to finish above us. Aston Villa, they're unbeaten in their last 5 games. Like you said, Newcastle.
Tottenham, Newcastle, Brighton.
That's another 4 teams.
That's 4 apart from the top 4.
That's
it's looking like 9. Oh my God!
Like
should we wrap up there?
and I mean, if Brentford beat us today, that's another team in there. So it is going to be difficult. It's going to be a very up and down season. I'm kind of hoping that it's not as bad as last season, genuinely, because last season was it was difficult. As a fan, it was difficult. So I'm kind of hoping that we do have a little bit of a.
Yeah.
It's not just losing every week, 4-0 to Crystal Palace here, 2-1 to Nottingham Forest. I hope it is a bit better. But we have got another super chat here from. How do I pronounce this one? Let me go back. There's a couple in here. Moko Mucker. Lineup reaction. Ugarte, be kidding me.
What he's saying, Ugarte should be playing.
Probably. But then over who? Casemiro? Can't put him over Eriksen.
Again, I know I don't want to sound like a stuck record, but it might be a good idea to keep him on the bench to recover properly.
Yeah.
Be available for Thursday when we know that Bruno's not available.
There is another super chat. I'm going to call him A. I'm just going to call him A because I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah.
And he says, you can't build any project with Bruno and Rashford as undroppables. Both are one-dimensional players in different ways. I know you're obviously not the biggest Bruno fan and Rashford fan. Rashford fan. Do you agree with that statement? You can't build a project with Bruno and Rashford? Because I remember we had a little debate one time about could Rashford be in a title contending team? And I think he can. And I think you said you don't think he can. Is that what you said?
I don't think he can unless look, it'd have to be an absolutely brilliant team. If Rashford was playing for City, Jack Grealish should be playing on the left wing. But if Rashford was playing for City and actually playing, they wouldn't be as good. He doesn't look after the ball like Grealish does. You know what I mean? They would not be as good. Fact. But they would probably still be good enough that they would at least mount a challenge.
Yeah,
but that's how good City are. That's how good City are.
And that's how good the coaches.
Yeah, and the coaches,
one of my shows I did last week.
Sorry,
go on.
You could not coach Marcus Rashford to play like Jack Grealish. It's a completely different type of game that Jack Grealish plays. He gets hold of the ball, steps in front of people, gets clipped from behind, wins free kick after free kick. The team stay in possession of the ball, they keep the pressure on the opposition. And I've spoke about this many times. The fact that Jack Grealish wasn't taken to the Euros was an absolute disgrace. He's a wonderful, wonderful player. And the manager for England now has immediately inserted him in the starting 11. And he never mind in the squad.
Yeah.
And they're like chalk and cheese. And I hear people say he doesn't get loads of goals and assists. He's done an interview recently, Grealish, hasn't he, where he's spoken about the fact that that's not my game. It's not, it does get some goals, he does get some assists, but it's all about keeping the pressure on the opposition, giving the right pass. He might not have loads of goals and assists, but I bet he's got loads of third passes or fourth passes.
Like hockey assists, stuff like
that lead to goals.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying before about. I remember I saw another interview with Grealish. It was probably in his first season for City, and they asked him, "Do you miss the way how you used to play? Like, what is the reason why you don't play how you used to play for Aston Villa for City?" And he said he kind of wants to do that, but he knows in order to win, he can't do that. He understands that the way how Pep instructs him and the way how Pep wants him to play is the way how they're going to be able to win the league. And it's a long season.
It's working.
Hard working. It's a long season. Maybe one game you might have a little bit of freedom and you might score 1 or 2 goals. But in 38 games, if you want to win the league, you have to play in a certain way. You have to be disciplined. And he said he completely accepts it. And that's the reason why his game has changed and in a way developed. Because I'm not saying he's necessarily doing anything better than what he's doing for Villa, but it's developed in a way that he helps the team even more. Even though he might not be getting goals and assists, what he is doing for the team is causing to score more goals, like you said, get more
the team is scoring more goals or enough goals. They might not be scoring more because they've always been a good side. But anyway, it's not the City channel. Let's move on.
But the reason why I was saying that anyway.
We were talking about if Marcus could play for the team that could challenge for the league title. Look, he'd have to change his game dramatically. You can't be just losing the ball. The same applies to Bruno. He gives the ball away too much.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's possible, but both players would have to change the game dramatically. Yeah. And why would a manager buy a player and then try and change his game dramatically? Why not just get players who play the way you already want to play?
Like that. True. That is true. I mean, in terms of coaching, I just think it's a discipline thing. I feel like with Bruno, you can talk about his ability, and I feel like Bruno does have a lot of raw ability. I feel like he does have. He is a good football player. He is a high-level football player. I just think it's the discipline in his game. I feel like a lot of the things that Bruno does which frustrates people, he doesn't have to do it. It's reckless football. It's you know, hoofing it long when he doesn't need to do that. It's always trying to find the assist and always, he's got great vision, but sometimes the great vision doesn't need to be executed every time. You can see a pass, but maybe if you pass it to an Eriksen first, Eriksen might have a better opportunity or be in a better position to make the assist, whereas compared to you having to force the assist from 30 yards.
9 times out of 10 in football, the best pass open to a player who's on the ball is the easiest pass. 9 times out of 10, just give the easy pass.
Yeah.
The simple pass. The play. 2 things that coaches always say: give the easy ball and play the way you're facing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Bruno doesn't do that often enough playing for United, but I did watch him play for Portugal during the week against Scotland, and he was a completely different player. You're talking about whether a player can be coached or told. There must have been 5 occasions where he got the ball somewhere near the corner of the penalty area, and I'm thinking, for United, without any doubt, he's tossing that ball into the box. But with Portugal, he's giving it to the man outside him. Time and time again it happened. So that is something that's coming from the manager. It's got to be.
That's literally what I was saying. It's coaching. Coaching. To be able to say to a player who, because let's be honest, when Bruno first came in, he had so much freedom. Ollie pretty much said to him, you've got the keys to the team, do what you want to do. And that's probably the reason why he got so many goals and assists, because he was built around him and plays like Rashford and whatnot. But now, with Ten Hag, he kind of has to be versed that a little bit and say to him, he has to have the authority in him anyway to say, look, I understand that you have had a lot of freedom in the team, but if we want to win the way I want us to win, you're going to have to hold that back a lot. And maybe that is a discussion that him and Bruno have had. I don't know. None of us know, but I feel like he needs to have it anyway and drill it into Bruno to say, look, you're a great player. You can do a lot. The same how Grealish is a great player and can do a lot, but I need you to hold it back a little bit just so that the team can perform better. But yeah, like I said, it is a coaching thing. I think coaching is super important. But another super chat here from Hassan. He says, we may win with them, but Bruno and Rashford equal counter-attack football. Until we're able to drop them or make them play differently, we will be inconsistent. Similar to literally what you said before.
Well, let's put it this way. They're both attacking players. They're supposed to be according to most fans, our best attacking players. We've scored 5 goals in 7 league games. It's not enough, is it?
Yeah, true. Another super chat from Seb. Ricky, do you not rate De Ligt?
I won't say I don't rate him, but we keep making sideways steps. I'm not convinced yet that he's any better than the centre-backs we've already got. But some of the centre-backs we've already got are good players. That doesn't mean I'm saying he's crap. You know what I mean? We're actually all right defensively. We're not bad, but we need to be... it's better if you can get your back 4 to be a regular back 4, which we can't do through injuries. But no matter who comes in at centre-back, in general... I'm not, obviously there's the odd game where it's crap, and by the way, the odd game where it's crap isn't necessarily any of the games where we're letting in 4s, 5s, 6s, even a 7 against Liverpool once. That's not the fault of the centre-backs. That's the fault of the shape of the team and them pouring through us in midfield and up front. That's just not having enough players behind the ball. So obviously the centre-back, when we let 6 in against City once and when we let 7 in against Liverpool once, obviously the centre-backs didn't have absolutely fantastic games, but it's not their fault that we let all them goals in.
No,
it's not their fault. Yeah. So we're actually all right. We have got a lot of decent defenders, so I'm not criticising De Ligt, but I'm not convinced that he's any better than some of the defenders we've already got.
Yeah, like he's a world beater. He did have them shouts early on at Ajax. He had them shouts of, he was a captain at 17 or something like that, took him to a Champions League semi-final, so the potential was there, everyone saw it. But I think, like I said, because of that, the ability that he had there, I think he does have it in him. It's just about how he progresses and how the team progresses. But yeah, super chat here from Christoph. We are going to end up losing Ahmad to a rival. I'm tired of watching Rashford and Garnacho lose a ball or cut in and shoot. They are not good enough.
Great shout.
They are not good enough. The Ahmad to a rival bit, that worries me. I don't think it will happen. But that if that does happen, that is very worrying. I mean, that is one player that's genuinely the one attacker right now that I'd say, genuinely, even over Garnacho and Rashford and Haaland and Xerxes, that's the one attacker that I'd say, you know what, if we could just keep one, it'll be him.
I think he's an exciting player, and as I said earlier, his work rate's fantastic as well, which you know I'm a stickler for. I love him. I love him. He's got a lot going for him.
But I think on his side, his point of view, he is probably looking at the team and thinking, like, what more do I need to do? I think if he goes this whole season and it's the same thing throughout this whole season, surely he's looking and thinking...
He hardly got a look in last season, did he?
Literally last 5 games probably.
I wouldn't mind betting he's almost played as many minutes now as he did all last season. He's already had about 3 or 4 full... Like, he never gets a full game. They always sub in, don't they?
Yeah.
So I'm probably a bit far out there, but I bet he's played 50% of the minutes already that he got last year.
Most likely,
in 7 games.
Because he's still getting up for big games.
Hopefully he starts to get more.
Hopefully. So, we've literally got 1 minute. It's already 2:30 actually. We've literally got about a minute left. So let me know in the comments or in the chat, what are your final thoughts on this game? What are your final thoughts on United for the season? We do have a busy next week. We've got a game today. We've got Fenerbahce next Thursday, and then the game after that is
West Ham away.
West Ham. So
Sunday.
Yeah, next
what score's that game? Are they getting beat 4-1 still? Is it anymore?
Game's done now.
That
game's
finished?
done. I think the final score was 4-1 to Spurs.
So West Ham are not on great form at the moment, are they? I think they got beat
best.
last time out. I think I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But any away game's tough for us, and West Ham will be more up for it. I'll tell you, one man will be up for it. Wan-Bissaka will be bang up for it, won't he?
Look, West Ham fans love Wan-Bissaka.
I bet they do. Yeah.
They love Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah. So we've got a tough game next week. Make no mistake.
Okay, so thank you guys for watching. It's been the countdown to kick-off. Man United versus Brentford, 3 p.m. We've got 30 minutes till the kick-off. There's going to be something a little bit different for the watch-along, but I'm going to let you guys wait and see that. But Ricky, thanks for being on the countdown.
Thanks, Mordzs. Enjoyed it.
And we will see you on the next